Okay, so if you haven't watched part one, go watch part one. This is part two, and I'll be talking all about what has happened specifically over the last 2 weeks. So, 2 weeks ago, I decided to reach out to a new fertility doctor, and a few of my friends have already seen him and have had very successful pregnancies and IVF cycles with him. Now, I don't want to seek IVF. I know that may be controversial since we are going through infertility, and I feel like when you're going through infertility, you try literally everything to try and have a baby. But so we decided to go to his office. He had an appointment on a Monday at 1. I had already done all of this testing, all of this blood work, very recent to seeing him, like within the 2-3 weeks of seeing him. So he reviewed all of my testing. He was so thorough in all of his questions. And that's why I always say, always, always, always advocate for yourself. He truly listened to us. He suggested that we do IUI, and we asked if we could possibly do a timed intercourse cycle. Now, timed intercourse is basically where you take letrozole normally day 3 through 7 of your cycle, and then you'll go in for a series of ultrasounds and blood work, and then you'll take a trigger shot, and then you just have intercourse naturally. There's no artificial insemination. So we were going to move forward with that. We got it all lined up. We didn't really have to do much pre-work because I had gotten everything done. Here's where I felt God moving in a lot of different ways. So when Jared and I got home, we kind of discussed all of our options, and we were like, what do we want to do? Do we want to spend the money on a timed intercourse cycle? Do we just want to go straight to an IUI? We were kind of in this limbo, and I kind of was like, you know what? Let's just chill out for the month. I still haven't gotten my period. And I was supposed to be expecting it by the time I saw him any day, like that day or the next day. And in my gut, I knew that I was not getting my period. So basically we were like, yes, let's just wait and we'll start in my March cycle. Well, my period never came. So I called his office and I was like, I want him to look in my uterus. Like, I want him to give me an ultrasound. I want him to do whatever he needs to do diagnostically to figure out what the hell is going on. They were like, of course, we will get you an ASAP. He was the one that actually did the ultrasound. So this was a vaginal ultrasound, and I've never had my actual doctor do the ultrasound. I mean, at the other fertility clinic I did, but I felt like that was like her thing. Whereas here, like, I feel like his nurses usually do it. And this time he was like, no, I want to do this for you. Like, we are going to figure this out together because this doesn't make sense. So we're doing the ultrasound. He's showing me everything. He's like, your C-section scar looks great. You barely have any scar tissue. He saw like a little pocket of cervical mucus. He's like, great. Then he scans over to my right ovary. There is a freaking 20 millimeter follicle. I was right. It was my period. So I was ovulating, but he wanted to confirm with blood work. So after the ultrasound, I went over to get blood work. He checked all of my hormones. And that day, I got my Mira, this little fertility monitor, in the mail. And I forgot I ordered it like a week or so ago. So that day I get home from the ultrasound and I was like, the great thing about Mira compared to the Clear Blue is that you can really test whenever. So I tested right when I got home and I was surging. Like, my numbers were crazy. So the next day he called me. I want to note that the doctor has been doing everything. It is very rare that you find a doctor like this. When you do, you keep them. He called me and he was like, you were surging. Like, my LH was in the 50s, my estrogen was in the 200s, my progesterone was in the 2s. Like, you were good to go. So now we're just in this kind of like wait and see period, but I'm trying not to like get my hopes up or be super hopeful, but I just know God is really on our side and he wouldn't have placed this on my heart if it wasn't what he wanted. And I feel like there's something about this experience that I'm going to look back on and be like, wow, I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about XYZ. So I know it's very hard, and it feels very isolating sometimes, but I also want to show that there are some okay sides to it, like supportive friends, supportive partners, supportive family. So today I went on a walk with one of my really good friends, and we walked about 2 miles. And on that 2 mile walk, we were just talking about everything. She's very up to date about the whole situation. But on my walk, I noticed a singular dandelion, that like the puffball ones, and I hadn't done it since I was a kid. I picked it up and I blew all of the things off of it. I never see those. I mean, I know we're kind of have like an early spring here in Texas. It's like 80 something degrees. And then later on the walk, I find a heads up penny. I mean, I'm not into superstitions at all. My grandmother really was. And I think I am a little bit too, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, this was a very long update, but I'm glad you sticked around. If you did, high five.